Hello and welcome back to the MasterChef series, episode 5. This week's prompt given by Hardleg, and the prompt was spoons in brackets Metalfoes, right? So this one was a bit of a tough one. It took me a while to try and figure out something interesting to do with Metalfoes. Metalfoes is a cool deck, but mostly if you're just playing it in a very standard way. It's a cool deck on its own, but you kind of need to spice it up a little bit for like MasterChef, and it was a little bit tough to do. But eventually, I figured out that the Fire Kings is kind of a cool include in combination with the Metalfoes monsters, and we'll get into why. But the primary reason why is because we have the Metalfoes with the spoons as like utensils in the kitchen, and then you have the Fire Kings, the King of the Flame. That's perfect for a kitchen. So that's the real synergy between them. But let's get into some specifics. The Fire Kings really care about seeing fire monsters be destroyed on the field, right? And all of the Metalfoes monsters, including most if not all of the extra deck ones, are fire monsters. So that in of itself works perfectly. I don't see why popping one of these in the scale wouldn't trigger it. Obviously, I make these on dueling books, so I'm not 100% sure on every single interaction, but I don't understand why that wouldn't work. Scale Bismugear, scale Gold Driver, pop one, and then it sees the fire monster being destroyed as the trigger, and then gets its effect off. So that's kind of where the synergy first came up. But obviously we have things like Astrograph Sorcerer in here, and I thought that this might have just been Pendulum specific, but it's not. If it observes anything being destroyed on the field, let me just confirm. If a card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, special summon this, and then add a monster that was destroyed this turn from the same name from your deck to your hand. None of this has anything to do with Pendulum. So you can just be popping and triggering Astrograph as well from the hand with the non-Pendulum stuff. Fire King, perfect. But it's also a Pendulum card, which can help us make Electromite. Get some of our Metalfoes in rotation. So there's a lot of interesting synergy here. Obviously, there's going to be even more that I probably even haven't discovered, but I think it took me a while to get there, but I really feel like it's a fun mesh of two different decks. That theming wise, in terms of being in a kitchen with utensils and flames, works, but also mechanically because they're all fires. Because Astrograph doesn't really care about what's being destroyed, just as long as something is being destroyed. It really works well, I think. So I'm sure at this point the synergy is fairly apparent. I'm just on one counter to summon Vanisher. One of the sort of searchable Fire King spells and traps are on triple Ponyx. Triple Alchonix as well, very good card. 3 and 2 as my ratio of Sanctuary and Island. And I cut some of the level 2 Metalfoes. I'm just in favor of 3 1s, 3 8s, another low, and then another high, just to keep the sort of scale balance even. As far as the extra deck goes, 2 Mithrilium, just in case it's really important that I shuffle back my resources to keep the Metalfoes half of the deck flowing, because it's a bit of a smaller package, so I want to make sure I always have those resources in rotation. And the 1 Orichalc. Obviously, we're on Astrographs and want some Metalfoes stuff, so I do have the option of going Absolute into Gravity Controller into Vortex. So there's that option. I'm running another level 7 in Big Eye, just in case they're obviously summoning Metalfoes fusions. And these trigger if they're being sent from the field to graveyard. So if I suck it up with a Big Eye and then detach it later, it's not going from the field to the grave, so it won't trigger. It's a little bit of counterplay to their Metalfoes fusions, potentially. Obviously, we're on the Garunix because we're on triple of the Sacred Fire King and triple Kieran and one of the OG Garunix. We're on a lot of 8s. We have a lot of 8 potential. And the good thing about, actually, this is what I want to know. The good thing about the Fire Kings over something like Unchained, which I was also considering, is as far as I can tell, none of the Fire Kings lock you in at all, whereas the Unchained locked you into Fiends. So that's why I ended up going with the Fire Kings over Unchained. because we can make generics like number 38, which is really good when they're going to be setting scales and activating spells. I also have Explorer, which is a pretty funny card. Again, if they're going to be setting scales, I can choose specific zones to try and disrupt their scales. That's what I kind of really wanted to lean the extra deck towards, is I know that they're going to be on Metalfoes. So if I can disrupt their scales, cards that I know they're going to be playing, that's going to set me up in a fairly good position. Explorer is just another way of doing that. And as mentioned, we're on the Gravity Controller, we're on Electromite because we're playing Pendulums. I'm on Anima because I'm on triple. I have a lot of level 1 monsters, so potentially maybe I just brick. I can Ponix into, or Bismugi into Anima and catch them off guard. And then one Fires, so I'm on Princess plus Amber Whale. Nothing too crazy towards the end there. I feel like the extra deck could be a little bit better, but it has been a while since I've uploaded. I kind of wanted to just jump in and share my idea. And I think, even though it took a while for me to get this sort of inspiration, because Metalfoes was a bit of a tricky prompt. Well, Spoons was the prompt, but Metalfoes was a little bit tricky of a build around. I do think I got there in the end. I'm pretty happy with this list. Let me know what you think. Rate it out of 5. I'll see you in the next episode.